All right, Shalom Lechem Rabotai. Welcome to our weekly class, Yalkut Yosef, on Wednesdays. Someone new is joining us today, Eitan, Baruch Haba, Be'ezrat Hashem. Hope to see you always in Torah and good occasions, Be'ezrat Hashem. All right, so we are right now on the topic of Brachot. Brachot, we were discussing what Brachot do we make on what now. Interesting question. We are reaching the issue of cooked Brachot. For example, a person is cooking now fruits or vegetables, and he's about to make Brachot on them. Baruch haba Igal. So let me ask you a question. I have now, let's say, a pot, and I throw in a cucumber, and then I have another pot, I throw in a potato, and then I have another pot, and I throw in an apple. I want a cooked apple, I want a cooked potato, and I want a cooked cucumber. What are the berachot going to be on each one of these items? So if you notice, I specifically chose items that each one has something different about them. Ilan Baruch haba. What's different? So we're learning about three things. We're learning about cooked items right now. You have a cooked potato. The cooked potato, the way of eating a potato is when it's cooked. No one eats a potato that's not cooked. So that's item number one. Item number two, a cooked apple. A cooked apple is an item that you could, hey, Nick Baruch haba, is an item that, Johnny Baruch haba, is an item that you could eat cooked, but you could also eat not cooked, right? And item number three, a cucumber. A cucumber is an item that usually no one eats cooked, all right? So let's see what's going to be the berachot on each one of these. Anybody want to try all three berachot? What do you think you should do for each one? Johnny, what
For
do you, oh, Nick, b'chavod.
okay, so you said one is a cucumber cooked or not cooked, both options.
I'm only talking about cooked right now. Let's just discuss cooked. Let's start with the simple one, a potato that's cooked. Potato is
Adama.
Adama.
adama, right? Because that's the way of eating a potato. There's really no question because the only way you eat it is cooked. All right. Now, what am I doing with an apple? An apple is a special case where you can eat it cooked, but you could also eat it
Yeah.
not cooked, right?
It's S. It's a S.
יפה מאוד. Very good. So yeah, exactly. So on an item like that, you should say the bracha of the item. If it's an apple, it's going to be b'priyatz. I don't know if anyone could think of an example of a adama item that you can eat raw or cooked as well, but that will get the adama. If you can eat it both ways and it's cooked right now, whatever it is, you say the first adama. Now, cucumber. Cucumber, most people do not
Is
cook. Let's say you would cook it. What bracha would you
it,
do on that?
is it considered pickled like cooking or no?
So the difference with pickles is that when you pickle a cucumber, it's a normal thing. That's how people eat pickles. They pickle them. You're asking about if it's considered bishul. There's a discussion where you pickle an item in the halacha. Is it considered like cooking? Right? So that's a different topic right now. But I'm just saying regarding the biracha. In pickles, everybody will know that it's borei pri adama because that's the way of eating it. The chidush that we're bringing today is what happens when we're eating something not in the way of eating it. A cucumber cooked.
It comes shakol. Cucumber cooked is a
Very
shakol.
good.
That's it.
Chazak u'baruch. It's שהכל נהיה בדברו. But again, I want to show the foundations of here. The idea is that when it's not the derech of the item, then it switches the beracha. So it's going to become שהכל נהיה בדברו. So
Wait, sorry, Ziv. So you said the apple is aetz if it's cooked, so it
yeah,
doesn't change.
whatever goes both ways keeps its original beracha, borei pri ha'etz, right? The chidush here is the cucumber, that even though it's an adama item, but once you cook it, you're doing something that the world is not used to. So when you do something that the world's not used to, then it gets the shak. Um, okay, I don't want to get into gar.
So because the apple people are used to also cook it, so that's why it stays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alav Shalom, my grandfather used
Yeah,
to
compot.
compot, exactly. All right. And we'll get to the compot soon, Bezrat Hashem, because that's another question. Oh, you know what? That's the next topic. Chazak u'baruch, Johnny. The next topic on my list over here is compot.
So
Compot.
sorry, Ziv. So any other vegetable that is change the way we are eating, whatever, we say shakol.
So whenever it's not the way the item, for example, what other fruit do you never cook or vegetable do you never cook? I don't know. Well, for example, a carrot could be eaten both ways, so cooked or not
Yeah.
cooked. It's gonna be borei pri adama. But if something, I can't think of an example right now. Watermelon. A guy decides to cook watermelon in soup. It's
Becomes
Adama.
always charcoal. That's my question. It's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
charcoal,
Once you changed it, it's not the way of eating it, it's going to be shakol.
meaning
Exactly.
it doesn't go down in level. If it's Adama, doesn't go to Aetz, or always goes to charcoal.
Yeah, Adama can't go down to Aetz because Aetz means that it grew in a certain way. It's not exactly on a tree. We explained last week. What does it mean? When does a bracha become Aetz? It's the way that it grows. If the fruit repeats itself every year on its own, you have a mango tree, every year the fruit brings
Okay.
mangoes on its own. You don't have to replant it, as opposed to a watermelon where you have to replant. So it can't be a etz, even though it seems like they're both from the ground and it's similar. It goes the other way. When something was a etz and it goes down a level, it goes to adama, because at the end everything came out from adama. But once you're
What
adama,
about sorry for cutting off. What about a banana?
so a banana, we actually discussed this last week. It's a machloket. La'alacha lema'aseh, the bracha on a banana is borei pri adama. Even though some poskim hold it's a etz. We were discussing it last week because we said what happens if you have an apple and a banana next to you. If I say um, Borei pri ha'etz on the apple, according to some poskim, I was poter the banana as well. Now I can't say borei pri adama because maybe I was already poter oto by saying borei pri ha'etz because some poskim hold it's a etz. So we learned that first you would say adama. But does that answer your question? You're asking what happens if
Yeah.
what? If I cook a banana or no?
No,
So
you
yeah,
answered the question.
okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. Chazak u'baruch. So now kompot. This is a nice case right now. I have a fruit, an apple, that I cooked it with water. So now I'm eating from this whole thing. What is going to be the beracha over there?
Shakol, shakol.
So you say she'akol niya bidvaro, but wait, what you're because you're saying maybe the water of the soup is the ikar over here, the majority over here, and the beracha goes on that. So alacha lemaaseh is why you're not just taking water over here. The whole reason you're having this thing is because you put apples inside. You want the apple. Soon we'll talk about a vegetable soup. That's a nice topic. You're not just drinking water. Obviously, you put this item in there because you wanted to make stuff happen. That's the essence of it. So it says Yalkut Yosef that in that case, if you are taking just from the water, like Giacomo is saying, only from the water of the kompot, then you would say shakol niya bidvaro. But if you're eating it together or just taking from the apples, that will, of course, borei pri ha'etz. But the chidush is when you eat all of it, sometimes on your spoon, you're only going to find water. It doesn't matter. You're right now eating something. It's like when you eat cereal and you say mezonot, and you have milk over there. So I'm going to say a separate bracha. It's one entity. And the ikar here is mezonot in cereal, so I would say mezonot. In our case, the ikar would be borei pri ha'etz. So you say borei pri ha'etz, unless you decided you really don't want any of the fruit. I only want to drink the water of the kompot, then it will be she'akol niya bidvaro. Now we're going to learn a similar case, but not exactly. Vegetable soup. So same idea here. If I'm just drinking from the water, it's she'akol. If I'm taking from either water with the vegetables or just the vegetables, borei pri adama. But what happens, and this, for example, could happen with a pumpkin soup, where the vegetables are blended in. And now it's a whole liquid soup that you don't even see the shape of the vegetables anymore. It became one entity. So it could be that the water is the majority. It could be that the fruit or the item that you cooked is the majority. He says in that case, once it's blended in there and it became a thick soup, it's borei pri adama. But it's a liquid. I'm drinking a liquid right now. Doesn't matter. I'm having a soup that's made from pumpkin soup. It's a very common soup in Israel where you see it becomes thick. Even though you would think you're drinking a liquid right now, but the vegetables melted in, and the bracha on that would be borei pri adama. So in that case, there is no I just want to take from the liquid. The whole thing already is like one big vegetable, and then it becomes borei pri adama.
If I'm a little confused, you have vegetables that are adamah and ha'etz. You can have potatoes, you can have cucumbers in a soup, or you can have herbs, in a soup. You can mix it up. So how is it adamah?
Amazing question. So you're saying what happens if it's a mix? There's
Yeah.
not one item. I have a bunch of different items over there. So when that happens, you go according to the majority, which means if let's say you have a kompot, someone made a kompot that has apples and banana in it. You have to look and say, is the majority apples here or the majority banana? And according to that, you would say the beracha. With vegetables, most of the time it's adama anyway. There's not so much vegetables that you cook that are ayetz. But with fruits, I think the issue happens more, unless you could tell me of a case that you're thinking of.
Or with a salad?
So with salad, again, it goes according to the majority. I tell you, most cases it would be adama. How often do you have a salad that the majority of it is not adama? A case that is brought down in halacha is when I'm having rice with beans, or in Hebrew we call it majadara. You know what majadara is? It's like a yellowish rice that has those little lape, those little lentils on it. So over there, it's surprising. The rice is mizanot, the lentils are adama. I'm loving them both, but I'm not eating them separately. They're mixed. What's the beracha? Some would say, what do you mean, what's the beracha? The rice here is the majority. The rice is not the majority. If they're 50-50, sorry, rice is important, it's mizonot. It's not exactly the case. First, we'll say the halacha, then we'll elaborate. The halacha is that in a case like that, where you have rice with lentils, what is the majority? If you have a lot of lentils and a little rice, it'll be adama. The other way would be mezonot. But Ziv, you taught us that when we eat mezonot, even if it's a little part, it takes over the beracha. You have a cookie that's made of a little mezonot, but there's also fruits in there and also whatnot. The mezonot are only 20%. You still say mezonot. So how come with rice, it's even if it's 20% and the lentils are 80%, we don't say borem mezonot? And the truth is because the rice, even though the bracha is mezonot, it's not one of the 5 grains. We have 5 grains, right? The wheat, the barley. You guys probably know how they're called in English better than I do, the remaining. But those are mezonot for real. Rice is not a real mezonot. The only reason Chachamim gave it a bracha of mezonot comes from the word zan. Zan is satiating. It's mezin, it fills you up. Rice is a special item. It's an exception where it gets the bracha of mezonot, even though it's not really a mezonot, right? That's why if you have a rice cake, right, it's not mezonot. It's borei pri adama. Okay, there's a whole discussion about rice because even if you have wheat that is also puffed, and people think it's mezonot. They have cereals like that, puffed wheat. No, that's also borei pri adama. Items that are puffed are usually adama. Well, maybe we'll get that in another situation. But either way, rice and lentils, you go according to the majority. I remember one time someone asked Rav Mansour in the class, Rabbi, what if it's 50-50? I have 50% lentils, 50% rice. So the rabbi said, take out one lentil and say, borei min hamizonot. What are these questions? Find a way that you'll make it the majority. What are the odds that it's going to be exactly?
If, can we touch upon the salad? Because you have Israeli salad, you have onions from the ground, adama, and then you have tomatoes and cucumbers that are heads. So
No, cucumbers are adama. Cucumbers are also adama.
cucumbers, I thought they're grown above ground.
So as we explained last week, it doesn't matter if they grow above
Oh,
ground.
no. Oh, because they have to replant it.
Yeah, cucumber, after you take it out, it's not giving you fruits the next year. So since you replant it, the baruch on it is borei pri adama. By the way, I don't know if we said it here or said it somewhere else, but the onion, even though it seems like it grows from the ground, but the bracha, if you just have an onion on its own, it's going to be she'akol niya bidvaro. Oh, why? It grows in the ground. But it's not the way of people to go and lift up an onion and eat it. We learned it about the parsley. I think we said this last week that if you have greens, if you have parsley on your own, it's not adama, it's she'akol niya bidvaro, but it grows in the ground. No, but the way of the world is to have it as a seasoning. People don't eat an onion like an apple. It's usually come to season. So in a salad, it's actually considered a she'akol niya bidvaro item.
Also mushrooms, no, as a special
Mushroom is always she'akol, regardless if it's
because it doesn't grow on in
yeah,
the ground.
it
It's like
doesn't
on
have an
top of
attachment
the.
to it, even though it looks like it's in the ground. It's growing from the air, they say. I'm not really sure how that works, that it grows from the air. I mean, it doesn't grow in the middle of the air, it has to hang on to something. But the Allah criteria says that it nourishes itself, I guess, from the air, and therefore it's always she'akol niya bidvaro.
But going back to the salad, what's the majority?
Yes.
That's what we say.
If it's majority etz, it's a etz. If it's majority adama, it's adama. Exactly.
So if I have a big tuna salad, a lot of tuna in it, it's shakol.
If the majority is tuna, it's going to be she'akol. Yeah.
Is there like a chart? And you can say, I mean, I think it's very useful, a pocket guide.
First of all, there's a pocket book with like all the brachot according to the alphabet, which is very, very helpful because even people that are learning it for years, you always come across these situations. But you should know that what we're reviewing right now, I'm not just teaching you, the bracha on this is A, the bracha on that is B. I'm trying to give us the foundation so that we're building. When someone asks us, what's the bracha? Let's think. Is it the majority? Is it not the majority? If it's mezonot, even if it's not the majority, I still say a bracha on the mezonot because it has importance. What about rice? No, rice, it's specific. It's a unique case. Rice is not a normal mezonot. It's an exception. As I said in the beginning, we always try to bring the foundation so that we leave the class with, when we have situations, we know how to face them. But when we have a
It's like the Ta'amim on reading Torah.
yeah, exactly. Give the man a fish, he eats for one day. Teach him how to fish. So that's what we're trying to do. Be'ezrat Hashem. That's what the Yalkut Yosef is doing with us. All right. So the next topic that Yalkut Yosef brings is regarding saying the wrong bracha. If you say adama on ha'etz, or if you say ha'etz on adama. So if it's lettuce, everybody agrees that lettuce is borei pri adama. If I said borei peri ha'etz on lettuce, can I eat it, or do I have to say again a bracha adama?
You can eat it because it's part of Adama.
No, the opposite, Johnny.
Rega,
I
wait,
said
I'm
etz
confused.
and
Yeah,
lettuce.
yeah.
The
Yes,
opposite.
the opposite.
Lettuce is adama. So etz doesn't cover it. So I'll have to say it again. But if I said borei pri adama on an apple, then even though it's a mistake, I should take a bite. You don't tell me make another beracha. No, because it wasn't a beracha levatala. Because even though adama is not the exact bracha, but it covers the etz, then I'm allowed to eat from it. Now, what happens if that was the case? I said borei pri adama on an apple. So you say, right, Ziv, take a bite. And then a second later, my wife comes, she says, here's an orange. Go take a bite of an orange. And I said, you know what? Orange is a etz. But I already covered the etz. How did I cover a etz? Because I ate borei pri adama, I ate the apple. The apple is a etz. So now, do I say a nu beracha on this orange? Or did my adama also cover the orange? Does it go specifically on what's before you or what's not? Says the Yalkut Yosef, even though that orange wasn't in the picture, but because you said borei pri adama, it covered the orange as well. All right. Next topic, dinei hefsek bivrachot. What's a hefsek? So when we say a beracha, we can't wait half an hour between the beracha and the bite, right? There has to be no hefsek, no separation. It has to be one attached to the other. Chazal use a phrase. How do we know how long am I allowed to wait? Borei pri ha'etz, and I'm trying to reach the apple already 10 seconds past, 3 seconds past. What's the right amount of time that it's still considered that I could say the beracha? So Chazal say, Shalom Alecha Rabbi. Say those 3 words, Shalom Alecha Rabbi. It's probably about 3 seconds. Anything between 0 to 3 seconds from when I finish the beracha until I put it in my mouth is okay. Some say you also have to swallow. Alecha lema'aseh, no. Even if just your mouth enjoyed it, it made contact with your mouth, it's already considered. So you don't have to quickly. Someone thought that he has to swallow for the bracha to hold. So when he would eat gum, she'akol niya b'dvaro, you would throw it in, and then he would bite a piece of it and swallow it. You don't have to. Because there are 2 pleasures. There's the pleasure of the stomach, anat haguf, and there's anat hachich, the pleasure of the mouth. For both of them, we need to say a beracha. Even if I'm just putting a tic tac in my mouth, my stomach is not feeling the tic tac, but my mouth is enjoying it, it gets a shakol. So halacha lema'aseh, the hefsek is if it took more than the time that it takes you to say Shalom Alecha Rabbi, which is an example of 3 words that each one has 2 syllables, about 3 seconds. That's basically how you look at it. All right.
Sheila.
Mm-hmm.
For on Shabbat, I sometimes use sourdough, and that takes a little while to cut a piece. Is that an issue?
So you're saying until it went into your mouth. No, because it's not a stop. What you're doing right now is part of the way that you eat. Some Ashkenazim, they are more strict on that, so they make a line in the challah or the dough, whatever it is before, so that when they come to cut, it will be fast and it won't take them a long time. But halacha lema'aseh, it's not an ifsek when what you're doing is for the process of eating. You're not playing with your child 1 second and then you took 5 seconds. You're trying to eat from the bread. Or you're going to take a big bite from the loaf of bread off everybody. It's not the way to do it. That's the way to do it, and therefore it's considered that it's part of the action. So even if it took you more than 3 seconds, it's a good question. There's a discussion what happens with kiddush. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Rashi says in the Gemara that if a poor man comes and asks for you from tzedakah, let's say I was saying borei pri ha'etz, and a guy comes and I gave him a coin of tzedakah, and now I want to eat from the fruit. Rashi say the bracha again. Why? Because Rashi is trying to say that you made an hefsek. You did something that has nothing to do with eating. You just gave tzedakah, even though that was an hefsek. It had nothing to do with the beracha. I'm not saying that that's the halacha. I'm saying this is the opinion of Rashi, and therefore some are strict to that. For example, Rav Budbul, the son-in-law of Rav Ovadia Yosef, he says that when you do the kiddush on Shabbat and you have a lot of guests, what's our custom? We pour it into the fountain or we pour it into the cups of the guests, and then we drink, right? Because people, sometimes it bothered them. Like my grandfather, we used to do at home. Everybody would drink from the mouth. It was okay. And now everyone's, we don't like it. Everybody's germy. So if I'm going to do that, other people are going to be disgusted. I poured into the main cup. Those that are strict like Rashi would say, hey, what you're doing right now is not a necessity for you to drink. You could drink directly from the cup. Why are you making a stop? For other people, that's not up to you. You did a bracha, don't make an hefsek. So those people that are strict like that, like Rav Budbul, son-in-law of Rav Ovadia, would hold there's no pouring to others. When you have a cup of kiddush, you have to drink first, or else you made an hefsek. Then you may have to say the bracha again. But I asked some other gedolim, and they hold otherwise. They say, no, I'm going to make it disgusting for everybody. If everybody wants to taste, it's okay to pour into the fountain and then drink yourself. But the common denominator between what you asked and what we're saying over here is it still an action that has to do with the beracha? So according to the lenient opinion that you could pour it into the fountain first, it's because that's the way of drinking. It's not derech eretz for me to put my mouth on it. The way is to pour it to everybody. So as you said, Eitan, the way is to cut a slice of the bread to eat it. That's my way to get to eating. So that won't be a delay and therefore it's okay. Obviously, don't start cutting now 30 pieces. That would be a mistake. You cut the one piece for you. Wait, eat it. Put it in your mouth. While it's in your mouth, whatever it is, keep on cutting. But you're right. It would be a mistake to start cutting 15 pieces, slicing this way, that way. Everybody has that. No. Make sure that as fast as you can, put one into your mouth. But the first one that you cut, it took you a few seconds more than Shalom Alecha Rabbi. I think it's still okay because it's part of the way of eating.
So Ziv, if 3 seconds pass, like you have to say the bracha again. It's
Yeah.
not bracha levatala the first. It's not more. It's a higher level bracha levatala. I mean, it's
Yeah, but if 3 seconds pass when you did something that has nothing to do with the beracha, it's considered a distraction. It has to hold on to something. When we say a beracha, it needs to grab onto something. So Chazal said, how long? You have to give a time. What are you going to say? 30 seconds, whatever it is. Everybody could give their opinion on what's right. But once Chazal agreed that's the right time, then if you missed that time, the time that it takes you to say Shalom Alecha Rabbi, a few seconds, people could say it's slower, faster, so it's not an exact math. But yeah, let's say you're about to take a bite in a Borei Pri Ha'etz, and then your friend calls you, 5 seconds you're going like that with him. You missed it. You missed it. And that's Hefsek.
then sorry, I have a question about the wine. When you say bracha on the cup, like we usually like, I say bracha on a cup, and I don't want to drink it from that cup because everybody has to drink from it. You know, like you said, the people
Yeah.
they don't like it. So can you pour it? You say bracha on a cup, and then put it on another cup and drink from the second cup yourself, and then pass the first one around, and everybody pours from the first one to their own cups. Can you do that or no?
Yeah, listen, I want to tell you something. Halachically, the people on the table are not required to taste from your wine, at least according to the poskim that we follow. They're not required to taste from your wine. They need to hear kiddush in order to be able to start eating the seudah. Halacha says kiddush bimkom seudah. You can't start eating unless you heard kiddush. But it doesn't mean that they have to drink from the wine. The main reason we drink from the wine is because it's chibuv mitzvah. We want to show that we like the mitzvah. The kiddush was done on that. We want to taste from that. So a lot of people, they put wine in the fountain or whatever it is in the cups of others before, so it already has a substantial amount, and then they just pour a drop. Everybody gets another drop in there. Already the chibuv mitzvah, the loving of the mitzvah, is there by drinking from it. But even if someone didn't drink at all or he had his own cup, lo nora, that's not a problem. It doesn't hold back. It's just an action of showing love for them.
But can I drink from the second? I say the bracha on the first cup, and then I put it on the second cup. Can I drink from the second cup, or I have to drink from the main cup?
No, as long as you drank from the content of what you were holding in your hand. You're saying,
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, of course. That would be.
Doesn't have to be the main cup that I say the bracha. Can be a second one.
Yeah, it could be a second cup. I actually have seen Gdolim do that. What I do when I do the kiddush, I take it and I pour it into whoever I want, whatever it is. But then I'm already holding it. I might as well drink from it. But that's easier when you have, let's say, a fountain that you just pour it once and it spreads. But if you have a lot of cups that you have to pour into, that's going to be a big delay. So first pour it into one cup, drink yourself, and then start pouring all the other cups. Don't pour 13 cups because you have guests right now and you think you're honoring them. That may be an hefsek. This is important to know. You have a lot of guests and you don't have the fountain, you're pouring one by one. Quickly pour and drink so that your bracha glues onto something. It has to grab onto something. Once you did that, then start pouring. Same thing with the challah, like Eitan asked. Anybody have another question before we move on?
What if the person's saying kiddush? Do they have to have a revi'it or just a sip is fine?
Do they have to have a what?
Revi'it.
Oh, revi'it. Halacha is that somebody has to have rov revi'it. Rov revi'it means the majority of revi'it. If a revi'it is 86 grams, so somebody should have about 44 grams. It's Chazal called kimlo lugmav. It's like if you fill one side of your mouth, that's the amount that you have to have. Now, I'll give 1 minute of attention to this question because it's important. People think that once I heard kiddush, I'm allowed to eat whatever I want. But it's not true. The halacha is that in order for you to be yotzei yedei chovat kiddush bimkom seuda, you have to have a seuda, a meal. Now, the halachic criteria of a meal, the easiest way that we know is hamotzi lechem min haaretz and berkat hamazon. But not only. Another way is if you have mezonot, you have a cookie more than 27 grams, more than 1 ounce, then you are justified to say ala michya. But you need something that's going to bring you to the beracha achrona of either berkat hamazon or ala michya and mezonot. Some say even the wine itself. If I don't have a cookie, but I really want a cup of coffee right now, and until I'm going to do hamotzi, the house is not ready, and I want to do kiddush because I want to start drinking coffee. I can't. I finished tefillah. You're not allowed to have coffee until you heard kiddush. I can't make a kiddush on the cup, take a little sip, and start drinking coffee. Why? Because I don't have a seudah here. So in that case, we tell him it's not enough to drink rov revi'it, which is a majority of which is 44 grams, one side of your mouth. In that case, you're going to have a revi'it from the wine. You're going to have 86 grams, about 3 ounces, because that's your seudah. Chazal gave importance to wine that some hold that even on wine you can consider it a seudah, but then you have to have the amount. So, Yigal, you asked about a revi'it. The only time you will have to have the full revi'it if that's your seudah. My seudah is on the wine because I'm not going to eat any mezonot or not going to eat any amotzi. But if I am going to eat a mezonot or amotzi and that's going to be my seudah, then it's enough to have rov revi'it, 44 grams. By the way, you don't have to be the one that has it. If you don't have it, you could bring it to a little child. You could bring it to someone that does like a lot of wine. You'll drink. Somebody on the table has to drink a rov revi'it, the majority of that 44 grams that I'm talking about. Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hazaku Baruch. All right, so we have still 2 minutes. Let's gain another topic. Now, the next thing he says is, Lo yidaber ad shebolea. Do we really have to not talk until we swallow? Because talking would be an hefsek. You're talking about something else. So, as I said before, if your mouth just enjoyed it and then you started talking, you have on who to rely on that it's not considered an hefsek because even the joy of the mouth would be enough. What's the ramification of this? I said kiddush, or whatever it is. I said a baracha she'akol niya bidvaro, and now I put a candy in my mouth. I still didn't swallow. The candy takes time until I swallow it. But now in the minyan next door, someone says kedusha, or someone says kaddish, or someone said a baracha. Can I answer amen? Or as long as I didn't swallow, I cannot answer amen. So he says, no. Once your mouth enjoyed it, you're able to answer amen, even though you did not swallow. Don't lose all of those amenim. Also, he says here, the Yalkut Yosef, the way of saying the beracha is yesh leashmiya leozno lekatchila. Lekatchila, the right way of saying a beracha is not moving my lips, not making any sound in my mind. No, ma pitom. We're not meharher berachot. We don't think it in our mind. We have to verbalize it with our lips and a sound that you can hear. Doesn't mean your neighbor has to hear it, but at least that you hear your own beracha. That's lekatchila. B'diavad, I said it, but I couldn't hear myself. I just moved my lips. It's also okay. As long as the lips were moved b'diavad, it's enough. But lekatchila, the best way would be that you also hear your beracha, and if there are people around you, why not give them a chance to answer amen? The value of amen is usually in Shemaim. Do not lose that. All right, we'll stop over here, Rabotai. Tizku mitzvot. Hazak u'baruch. Inshallah, we'll see you.
Baruch. Thank you, Ziv.
Talk about it.
Thank you.
Hazak Baruch. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.